The leopard's golden eyes locked onto something small and trembling in the tall grass. She moved closer, silent as a shadow. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. But when she pushed through the grass, she froze. It wasn't prey running away. It was a newborn deer, barely hours old, lying completely alone. Its tiny legs were folded beneath it, and its spotted coat was still damp. The fawn looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes that didn't understand danger yet. The leopard's instinct screamed at her. This was food, easy food, the kind of meal that would keep her alive another week. She opened her jaws. But then something strange happened. The fawn made a soft sound, almost like a cry, and the leopard stopped. She couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the way the fawn looked at her without fear. Maybe it was something deeper, something she didn't have words for. She closed her mouth and sat down. Just for a moment, she told herself, just to see. The minutes passed. The fawn didn't move. It was too weak, too young. The leopard looked around for the mother, scanning the trees and bushes. Nothing. No scent trail, no hoof prints. The mother was gone, probably scared off by another predator or killed trying to protect her baby. This fawn was going to die out here alone, and somehow that felt worse than hunger. The leopard did something she'd never done before. She picked up the fawn gently in her jaws, the way she'd carry her own cubs, and carried it to a safer spot under a cluster of rocks. The fawn didn't struggle. It seemed to understand, in its own way, that this predator wasn't going to hurt it. She lay down beside it. The fawn, shivering and cold, instinctively curled up against her worn fur. That's how the strangest friendship in the jungle began. By the next morning, word had spread. A monkey saw them first and chattered so loudly that half the jungle heard. Then the parrots started squawking about it. Soon animals from everywhere were creeping closer to see if it was true. A leopard and a baby deer together.
The other predators were confused. A young jackal came sniffing around, hoping for an easy meal. But the leopard growled so fiercely that he ran off with his tail between his legs. She wasn't going to let anyone touch the fawn. The herbivores were just as confused. A herd of deer passed by and stopped dead in their tracks. One of the older does stared at the fawn, recognition flickering in her eyes, but she didn't approach. How could she? The fawn was with the leopard now. The leopard knew what they were all thinking. She could feel their eyes on her every day. She could hear the whispers in the wind. What was she doing? Why was she protecting prey? But every time she looked at the fawn, wobbling on its thin legs, trying to walk, something in her chest tightened. She didn't have an answer. She just knew she couldn't let it die. She started hunting more. Not for herself this time. The fawn needed milk, but the leopard couldn't give it that. So she did the next best thing. She hunted smaller prey and left it near the fawn, hoping it would understand. The fawn was too young at first, but slowly it started nibbling at the tender plants the leopard dragged over. Days turned into a week. The fawn grew stronger. It started following the leopard everywhere, stumbling over roots and rocks, but never giving up. The leopard would wait patiently, glancing back to make sure the little one was keeping up. They were an odd pair, but they were together. Then everything changed. One afternoon, the leopard heard something that made her blood run cold. Howls. Not just one or two, a whole pack of wild dogs echoing through the trees. Wild dogs were ruthless. They hunted in groups and never gave up once they caught a scent, and right now they were heading straight toward them. The fawn heard it too. It pressed against the leopard's side, trembling. The leopard's mind raced. She could run, she was fast enough to escape, but the fawn, it was stronger now, but still too slow. The dogs would tear it apart in seconds. She had a choice to make, and she made it instantly. She nudged the fawn toward a hollow in the rocks, pushing it inside with her head. The fawn resisted, crying out, but she growled softly, urgently, "Stay, hide, don't move." Then she turned toward the sound of the howls and walked straight toward them.
The jungle went silent. Every animal watching held its breath. The wild dogs burst through the bushes, teeth bared, eyes wild with hunger. There were 6 of them. The leopard stood alone in their path, her body low, her muscles coiled. The lead dog snarled, "Where's the fawn?" The leopard didn't move, didn't answer. She just stood there, blocking the way. The dogs circled her, snapping and growling, trying to get past, but every time one lunged, she was there, claws flashing, teeth snapping. She fought like she'd never fought before, not for food, not for survival, for something that mattered more. One dog bit her leg, another slashed her side, but she didn't back down. She roared so loud the trees seemed to shake, and for a moment the dogs hesitated. That's when the jungle made a decision. A massive elephant charged out of the trees, trumpeting so loudly the ground shook. Behind him, a herd of buffalo thundered forward. Monkeys screamed from the branches, throwing sticks and stones. Even the birds dove at the dogs, pecking and clawing. The jungle was protecting them. The wild dogs looked around in shock and confusion. This wasn't supposed to happen. Prey didn't fight back like this. Predators didn't protect prey. But today, everything was different. Overwhelmed and outnumbered, the dogs turned and ran, yelping as they disappeared into the forest. The leopard collapsed, panting, bleeding, exhausted. The animals around her slowly backed away, still unsure what to make of everything they'd just witnessed. And then the fawn emerged from the rocks. It walked slowly toward the leopard, its legs steady now, its eyes full of something that looked almost like understanding. It lay down beside her, just like it had that first night, and rested its head on her paw. The leopard closed her eyes. She was tired, so tired, but she was still here. They both were. Weeks passed. The leopard's wounds healed. The fawn grew bigger and stronger every day. Soon it was almost as tall as she was. One morning, the leopard woke up and knew it was time. The fawn was standing at the edge of the clearing, looking toward the deeper part of the jungle where the deer herds lived. It looked back at her, uncertainty in its eyes. The leopard stood and walked over. She touched her nose to the fawn's nose, a gesture so gentle it would have shocked anyone who saw it. And then she stepped back. The fawn hesitated. Then, slowly, it walked toward the jungle, toward its own kind, toward the life it was always meant to live. But before it disappeared into the trees, it looked back one last time. The leopard sat down and watched until the fawn was gone. Some animals say they still see them sometimes on opposite sides of the jungle. The deer, now grown and strong, leading its own herd. The leopard, still hunting, still surviving. They don't approach each other anymore, but when their eyes meet across the distance, something passes between them. A memory, a moment when the rules didn't matter, when a predator chose love over hunger, when a prey chose trust over fear. And in that moment, the whole jungle remembers that sometimes the most impossible things are the ones worth fighting for. If you loved this story, hit that subscribe button for more amazing animal stories that will touch your heart. See you in the next one.